Hello. My question concerns the passage in Matthew 7:6, where Yeshua says, "Do not give what is holy to dogs, and do not throw your pearls before swine, or they will trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces." In your last study on Revelation, you mentioned this passage. Can you please expand on it? For example, what does this saying mean in terms of our evangelism? Isn't the word for everyone? And how would we know when not to evangelize or not to bring the word to somebody? Thank you very much.
Well, I thank you for this great question. Matthew 7:6 is one among many hard sayings of Jesus. This particular statement calls us to use our discernment and judgment when it comes to sharing the precious words of God. Yes, we ought to share it with as many as are willing to hear, but not with those who are not. This saying tells us not to force the argument when it is not necessary. First, what does Yeshua, why does he mention dogs and swines? Let me tell you that what they represent to us today is very different to what they stood for at the time. This is why context is so important. So if you have a dog at home, don't worry, he's not speaking about your loyal canine. At that time of Jesus, dogs were scavengers, but for the most part, the dogs, they had some dogs at home too, but most of them were scavengers. But the choice of these two animals, dogs and swines, were particularly despised at that time. On the one hand, the Talmud actually forbade the raising of dogs, and we read one say, "He who breeds dogs is like one who breeds swine." See how both animals are mentioned together. As for the swine, it was an unkosher animal forbidden to be eaten by the Mosaic law and was rarely found in Jewish areas in Israel. So the argument then, if dogs are scavengers and swines forbidden, why would you give them what is holy to eat? It was no value whatsoever for both who are looking only to fill their stomach. Here in the illustration, what is holy and what is precious as a pearl is actually the words in the Bible, the words of God. It is the scriptures themselves. Our Bibles may be the most precious asset we have here on earth. This is a precious gift that the Lord has given us, so let us be stingy even and wise when need be. Again, we're called to proclaim it, to bring the good news to the people, but not to, of course, everybody. What about the one who doesn't care at all, or the one who mocks it? We must not throw God's pearls on the floor to be trampled on. This is the base meaning. And let us know that it is okay to retrieve ourselves from such people when it is time to. Perhaps it is not yet the time for them to receive the word. I want to bring your attention about the word trampled used here. This word is strong and is used in Hebrews chapter 10 verse 29 when it speaks of those who came into the fold of God, that is into the congregation, and who has trampled the Son of God underfoot and counted the blood of the covenant by which he was sanctified a common thing, and insulted the Spirit of grace. This is what the word says. The trampled is used, the word trampled is used twice. Once in the word trampled and in the word underfoot. These are accused of insulting actually the Spirit of grace, which is a grave sin. So let us then offer the word, but not to throw it to just anyone. This is a lesson in evangelism. And furthermore, in the letters of the New Testament, we're given more information about those who are called dogs and swine in the Gospels. Those who are called dogs in the New Testament are recognized in that they are false teachers of the word, as we read in Philippians 3:2. Beware of dogs, Paul says. Beware of evildoers or workers. Beware of the false circumcision. 3 times in this verse, Paul repeats the word beware, which means to perceive, to watch, to inspect. For these are things that happen subtly, not overtly. So our ever watchful eye is very important. And furthermore, we are also told, as in Hebrews, that those who are called dogs are heretics. in 2 Peter 2:21, those who came into the congregation of believers and then turned against them. Peter says, for it would be better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than to have known it, to turn away from the holy commandment handed unto them. It has happened to them according to the true prophet, that is the true proverb. A dog returns to its own vomit, and a sow after washing returns to swallowing in the mire. Here then we have them both, the sow and the pig, and the dogs, or the pigs and the dogs, being the heretics who were taught the word and then turned against it. One more verse, the last book of the last chapter of the Bible in Revelation 22:15. Those who are called dogs are those who practice sorcery, idolatry, immorality, and lying. At the end, they're not that difficult to detect if we look carefully. These took the precious words of God and trampled it, using it for their own benefit. When we recognize such a one, let's move away from him or her.